Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Christine Harrington here with Eternal Life Plan, and we have a show for you today. And this is being live streamed right now on YouTube. So join us on YouTube. If you have any questions at all for our guest, please put them in the comment section, the chat, whatever, so I can get those to our guest. And our guest today, let me tell you a little bit about Steve Cunningham of Sensus Fidelium. I started following Steve, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 2018 or 2019. And how I found him was through YouTube, his YouTube channel called Sensus Fidelium. And I binged watched for a weekend. I think every video he had on that channel, and mostly Father Ripperger's videos. So for the longest time, I thought that was Father's channel, not realizing it was Steve's channel. So I want to bring to you the man behind Sensus Fidelium, and that is Steve Cunningham. Hi, Steve.
I was getting jacked about who's she bringing on? Who's she talking about here? How you doing, Christine?
I am doing good, and I'm so glad that we finally are meeting. For everyone that doesn't know, Steve and I talk all the time through DM on Twitter. Quite frequently, when anything comes up of the Catholic nature that, hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see that? Steve and I are chit-chatting about it through direct messages. Yes. So Steve, tell me, and I want to put up your website so everybody knows who you are, although that's a little big, that's hiding you. So I'm going to take that down. I may have... I'll have to see if I can move that. I know what I'll do. I'll put it in a banner. If I can spell it right, Steve, that's the thing. So while I'm doing this, why don't you go into a little bit about your YouTube channel and how that started? Because I'd really like to know that.
Well, I had it. If you look at the original name, it says One Arm Steve on there because it's a nickname from college days, Widespread Panic song, if anybody's really into figuring out what words mean. And I'm not very creative. So I put some videos up when I was basically working out at the house, working for AT&T, which was the hardest sales job I've ever had in my life. You ever had the Yellow Pages? Usually you look that up for Chinese restaurants, and I was doing medical sales for years as an assistant, and I got a gig with AT&T, and I was thinking, oh man, well, I'll just take something. I didn't have a job for a year or two, and training was a breeze. But anyways, so I couldn't afford a gym or anything like that, so I just work out the house, and I was already coming back in. I was going to daily mass, and St. Peter's in Columbia was literally 2 blocks away from the AT&T buildings. Was doing adoration there, and I was trying to find other work while I was doing that. But when I was going home, I'd work out and I'd find these sermons online. It's just about 6 or 8 of them, but I'd keep rewatching while I'm doing push-ups or whatever. And that led me to let me put some stuff up there. I found these Thomas Wood videos, and those back in the day when you could only put 14 minutes and 59 seconds of a video up, so you couldn't do what you see now with 10 hours or 12 hours. It's just, it was before Google took over. And so I found full Sheen videos on there. So I'll throw them up there. Well, for some reason, I thought people would watch. I don't know. I didn't know anything about subscribers, views, any of that. I literally thought everyone that watched, everyone in the world's watching whatever I'm watching. Naive, big time. And so fast forward to 2012, back at home. I ended up leaving AT&T because I couldn't sell the Yellow Pages. You imagine selling a $600 a month ad to a startup lawnmower service. That was my gig. It was impossible to do.
Well, Steve, did you know that my real job, my day job, I'm a sales coach and trainer.
Oh, you would have loved it. I had
I could have helped you.
well, when I was in training, they thought I was going to be I was going to rename AT&T after myself because I mean, it was easy. Plus, being medical sales, I was easy going into opening up new accounts. Not a problem. Wasn't a big deal. But getting somebody that was barely getting by to pay $600 a month for a little ad in a book that nobody reads. I mean, no one looks at. I was at that time going, yeah, you're right. You should. They're pushing the online. Everyone was pushing online. So I was like, well, they don't want to go on this. It was terrible. It was awful. And anyway, fast forward to 2012, I leave, and Greater Glory is the movie. And I'm a Knights of Columbus member, and we were supposed to push it and market that, I guess. And there was 6 people in the movie theater that we went to, and it was myself, my brother, a friend of mine who died a couple years ago, and the 3 other people I think knew Moses. They were that old. And that was it. It was out for one day, and I would go, that was embarrassing. Where's the rest of the people? It's a good movie. I mean, actors had good names. And where's the rest for that? And no one was doing anything. And so I remember there was a sermon on the Cristeros that went for about 35 minutes, and I was going, okay, well, somebody put these videos up before. I guess I could probably put that up and try to market the movie a little bit, get some interest. And so obviously I had no clue what I was doing and didn't know how to. I was texting friends of mine up. How do you put this stuff together? And how about if I send you a bunch of photos and then you do it for me? That was an idea. Because I didn't think I was going to do this long term. I was thinking just one thing, I'll get it up there, put it out for the movie, done. And so about 6 beers later, I figured it out. I was, how to do this, how to Google, how to make a video. Found Microsoft Movie Maker, free version, which I still use to this day. I don't know how. People laugh at that, like tech gurus, like, how do you do it? I go, Microsoft Movie Maker? What? You're not using this? I don't know what you're talking about, dude. And so that was the first video. It was terrible, as in the sense of the resolution photos were, I didn't know anything I didn't know what I was doing. So maybe like 100 by 85, and it stretched. So it was really blurry, or maybe I used that silhouette priest photo because I didn't know what I was going to put up, or I was just trying to find. It took hours to figure out to get it up. I mean, and so that was number one. And then after that was, well, if I learn something from a sermon that I hear, I will put it up because I'm sure somebody else will learn something. And what was it now? Fast forward 2023, 9,000 videos later, still putting more up. If I die tonight, there's videos scheduled for the next 3 years. So still learning, still, as they say, the hair club president or whatever the one is, not only a client, but a member. So not only a president, but a client, whoever the logo is. So I'm with you. I'm still binge watching my own because I have to put them up. And remember one priest saying, man, you're the only person who listened to my sermons like 8 times each.
Yeah, you have a robust YouTube channel. That is no lie, folks. And the other thing, if you are not subscribed to his Sunday newsletter, I want to urge you, and let me see if I can do this real quick here. I don't think I can. Steve, how can they get on your newsletter? They go to your website, right?
Yeah, there's literally a feature on there that says newsletter on the top right, and just click that. And I haven't signed up for it myself so I guess you just click it and you enter your email address. So
yeah, I get it on Sundays, everyone, and I want to really encourage you to do that because his newsletters are good. And his last newsletter last Sunday is what caused me to reach out to him and ask him to come on. Now, in full disclosure, I have asked Steve to be on many times, and I was the one that canceled. It was not Steve's fault. It was my fault. So his newsletter was all about his newsletters every week are about different things that are happening in the Catholic community, Catholic Church. And this one caught my eye because, Steve, It's all about, you said very well, it's all about, everyone is complaining about this synod coming up. Everyone is talking about it, complaining about it, but no one is providing any solutions. So, and I find this throughout Catholic media, throughout Catholic social media. There's all of this going on, one after another. And we're going to talk about one today that has me a little upset. We're going to talk about it. Catholics going after Catholics. I mean, which saint was it that had the revelation that bishops and cardinals would go after each other?
So L.A. the Akita.
There you go. There you go. Our Lady of Akita. And, Catholics are going after each other too, but nobody is providing any solutions. All they're doing is nitpicking each other. So, Steve, what solutions do you suggest?
Running into a cave, hiding in the kissing your butt goodbye. No, well, yeah, it's. I never was a complainer in the sense like I love the Jocko books and podcasts. And Father Nolan, back when I was in Colorado, he turned me on him because I never heard of the guy before. And my dad was a Marine. My coaches were Marine style. I always wanted to play for Bobby Knight at Indiana University. And that's it's like my dream coach would have been like that. Everyone's like, you're nuts. No, I like that hard nose. If you made an excuse, like I remember I had knee surgery back in junior college and I wasn't cleared to play for 6 months, 5 or 6 months, and finally got in January. And I went 0 for 2. And the first thing my dad said was, your shot was flat. And I think my mom kind of like gave him an elbow, but he was right. It was flat. So we'll work on it. Don't complain. It's not like, hey, I didn't get to play for 6 months. I just got, start being able to ride a bike and run and things like that. You get your shot right. And so I've always had that kind of mindset. Like when I see complaining going, it just turns me off on that. It's own up to it. The extreme ownership that Jocko has. And the excuses are lies. So yeah, complaining about, let's put a tweet out. Let's call these people names. It's that whole, do we not believe that Christ our Lord said that every idle word would be held against us? But asterisks, not tweets, or not, where they will know you by how they love each other. Boy, that's not us. So it's all, I was a personal trainer for years too. So it's one of those like, okay, what is your problem? I always go through the first day of a client, vertigo. I always had the people that had some issue, vertigo, they were pregnant, whatever. And so anybody that had anything, there was a way to work around it. You research it, you figure it out, what you can do, what you can't do, the contraindications, etc., heart problems, whatever. Still remember them to this day. So excuses were it's just lies to somebody. Okay, so what's the complaint? So you complain about something. Okay, what is the problem? Well, there's something going on. There's a sin. Oh, we'll use it. The synod's going on, or we have bad priests, we have bad popes, whatever. You go back in the history of the church, you see bad popes all the time. You're like, hey, you guys, to be deep in history, it's not just the cease being Protestant, it's the cease being anxious, worried, losing your mind, bad trap, whatever you want to be, whatever you want to say. But most of us, I think it's more like a pride thing. I will solve it. You just follow me. Click, smash that subscribe button. Click that like. I will come with you a video tomorrow to complain more to you and tell you more about what you need to worry about. And anyway, yes, I don't know. So those guys get a lot of clicks. And the solutions, you read the Lives of the Saints, I put Butlers and Garanger up and all these guys. And, Garanger talks about we're not a religion of protesting. Complaining is demonic in the sense.
Steve, you froze up on me. Are you there? You froze up on me. Okay. I think Steve is frozen. And until he gets back from
Let's
being
see.
unfrozen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I was
you
here. I kept
froze
going.
up. You
I kept
completely
going. Where'd you
froze up.
last here?
Yeah, you completely froze up.
Where
And
did you last here? I just kept going.
yeah, what was it? Oh, now I can't remember, Steve. Lordy, I was so shook up that you were you were frozen.
Oh, how long ago was it?
It took about 30, 40 seconds.
Okay. So, well, I'll just keep going as well. So videos on drama, the Pope stinks, things like that. People love it. You see politics. People turn on to the debate. They cry and whine and complain and yell at each other for 2 hours. Yet people watch it. I got no idea why. Like the last debate had none of those guys are going to win because of what the situation is right now. But people still tuned in.
I did not
Or,
watch it. I refuse to watch that debate.
I watch the highlights so that you don't have to. So I'll put it on the Clown Planet or News from the Pew shows or whatever I'm on. But yeah, but and then you look at the church stuff. All right, the Pope, we have a bad Pope. Okay, not the first time. That's where the Frank Sheik quote of "Christ is the point" comes in. John the 12th wasn't exactly a great guy. The Cadaver Synod. Imagine the Cadaver Synod right now with 24/7 news media, TV, cable, all that. Good night. People will leave the church left and right. You dug up a Pope, cut the fingers off, threw him and then stripped all of his ordinations off, and then the next time he put him back in, and then the next guy re-stripped it, and the next guy put it back in. His father said, "Johnny Sixpack doesn't know what's going on right now."
Right.
And what we got some bad stuff on an airline. I mean, back in the day, you didn't know who the Pope was for probably about 6 months because you didn't have internet, you didn't have tweets, you didn't have text, and you might be, if you're in the sticks of, I don't know, say like back in the day with Father DeSmit, it's on the wall over there, is traveling from Missouri to Montana. I'm pretty sure he wasn't riding on horseback going, I wonder if the Pope said something stupid today. None of those guys thought that, but we gotta, if he sneezes the wrong way, how dare you sneezed on your right cuff instead of the left one. That's blasphemous. And, whatever, we just get mad about anything. It's like the Vietnam bishop, 3 cheers for joy was his motto. All his priests was getting killed. The Theophane Bernard bishop, they're all getting killed. His motto is 3 cheers for joy. What is ours? Oh, you smiled? How dare you? I get that a lot. I can't believe you laugh. I can't believe you smile. I can't believe this. I mean, it's like the whole line. I don't know if you heard it when I got kicked out was Christ saying, look, they will know you by the way they love each other. Well, we don't love a lot of people. You look on social media, it's a dumpster fire. People are yelling at each other because it's all personal. My brand has to be better than your brand, and that brand's terrible, and we don't want anything to do with that brand. God forbid if we share anybody else's and help. Oh, wait, unite the clans, but it's just a bumper sticker idea. We actually don't want to. We want my brand unite under me. Forget about whatever you say. My way, the highway. And by the way, we're going to, whatever I do this weekend is going to save the church. Like, good night. I mean, everybody there. That phone Sheen line about when he said that the lady's going to save the church. I get what he's saying, but man, there are some people that have taken that and ran with it.
They have. And the truth of the matter is there isn't anything we can do. I mean, we can pray, obviously, and we're all praying for the Catholic Church. We're all praying for the Pope. But honestly, we don't have any authority or power over the Pope, over our priests, over our bishops or cardinals. None.
Yeah, I just saw a video where one guy said that you come to our conference and Vatican will see that we mean business. And they will be, they got, dude, seriously? Vatican ain't going to, one, watch it. Two, if they do. Two, what, are they going to be shaking in my little boots? Come on. But you go from like a John Chrysostom, Doctor Church, got thrown in exile. Athanasius, everyone loves to bring up Athanasius, but they have no clue about Athanasius' life. But everyone's an Athanasius to their mind. Went to exile. Did he tweet about how bad? No. Or did he go, Oh no, I'm not listening to the bishop. I'm not listening to the Pope. I'm not listening to the emperor. He went. They went. They went in exile.
Yeah.
Right? Did penance, whatever he did, and then he came back. I mean, we got this idea. Is this the Americanist heresy in a sense? Everyone loved my brother. I remember saying that long ago. Oh, you heard Americanism? You had to be on my brother's channel. But in a sense of we modern Americanist idea, don't tread on me. I'm from South Carolina. Colonel Gadsden's from Charleston, South Carolina. That was the flag, which don't tread on me. But we got that mindset in the church. A priest says something or bishop says something. Oh, yep, I'm thumbing my nose at him. Don't you tell me what to do. Who do you think you are? It's different from the medieval times when everyone, they obeyed the bishop. Or, I mean, the bishop can't say, hey, you got to wear a pink bunny outfit to mass. But if he tells you, like during the shutdowns or anything like that, not saying that they were right, but if he takes away your faculties, you just can't say, nah.
Right.
You keep going. I knew trad friends that went, oh yeah, he can just. Why can't you just do confession? Well, he took away their faculties, dude. It's kind of an important thing.
Yeah, it sure is. And I don't know if you saw this, Steve. Did you see Bishop Athanasius Snyder's response? Let me pull that up here in case you didn't. Mm-hmm. Oh shoot, hold on.
Yeah, most of the time I haven't seen any of that.
Here it is. He has composed a prayer for the synod on synodality, and it's, here's just part of the prayer. O Lord, send forth your holy angels under the command of Saint Michael the Archangel to frustrate the plans of your enemies within the synod assembly. I think that's a good prayer.
Yeah. Yeah, no wrong with that.
And the morning prayer where at the end it says that you pray for the intentions of the Pope. Mm-hmm. I always change that now because I'm not real certain what the Pope's intentions, if they're aligned with the Catholic Church or not. So I always say I pray for the conversion.
Well, I remember a priest saying he's on the channel. He mentioned that before about praying about years ago on a sermon. Say pray for the traditional thoughts, actions of the Pope, whatever it was, and you put tradition in front of it. And I mean, in a sense, God's not going to. In a way, we're going, okay, well, be at peace with that, because if we know the Holy Father, and I've been all over it because of the WF and me watching the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Yeah, he's all on board with the climate, religion, the earthism idea. I'm pretty sure heaven's not going to go, you know what? Yeah, we're going to, what the Pope wants right there when he wants to, get rid of the zero carbon, everyone dies. We're right behind him. It's because, it's not going to happen like that. It's kind of like when I get on trads about when they say they don't like JP2 or not praying to him or Paul VI or anything. I go, well, if you're in heaven and the church says, and 3 doctors of the church say it's an infallible thing, if they're in heaven and praying for us, do you think that they are saying, you know what? I like the way it's going. I don't want to be the merit in their error since they're in heaven and maybe they figured it out up there. Just saying. And they're going, maybe they're not against us. How about that? Just throw them a bone every so often.
Well, let me ask you this. Since you brought up rad trads, who do they like?
I don't know. They like themselves.
I haven't seen anybody that they come out to support or like or anything.
They like themselves with a certain archbishop, which if you say anything against, the fangs will come out and they'll shoot you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Outside of that, and and their friends, if everyone kisses each other's, hand, tails, or whatever it is, as long as you don't say anything negative. That's why I go. No, most of the guys in the circle never played ball or been in the military because our skin is so thin.
It is. And, I have followed Jocko Willink for years. I love all of his stuff. I think I own every book he he has written. And he does great leadership, and men need to learn how to be leaders now. And, well, they need to learn how to be men, and they need men role models. And Jesus was not a wimp. Sorry, people. Jesus was not a wimp. He was not a pushover. He was a man of strength and character and holiness like no other, as we know, because he was God. So let's move to Cardinal Dolan. Did you see his recent letter?
Yeah, the time limit, the why people aren't going to mass thing.
Oh my gosh, let me get to it so I can show everybody. And here it is. So Cardinal Dolan asked, are Sunday masses just too long? And I saw this first on David L. Gray's podcast, who I love David. He was on recently. But this whole article is about what he discovered people wanted out of Mass. And, first of all, there's this whole thing about sermons being way too long. They should only be about 5 minutes or so, Steve, 5 to 10 minutes. And I just want to, everybody, you can see this on the Good Newsroom if you want to go there. And I'll have the links in the description area below after this is over. But first of all, Steve, a lot of people may or may not know this, but, I call myself a shabby Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic. And I was in and out of the church for decades, finally came back for good 2008. Well, in that time period, I went to a lot of different churches, all kinds of Protestant churches. Okay. It's like I always say I was looking for God in all the wrong places. And so I came back to the Catholic Church. But, those services I went to, they were an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours long. Their sermons were 30, 40 minutes long. Nobody ever thought that it was way too long. And I am telling you, Steve, if the Mass was 15 minutes long, people would complain about that.
Oh, yeah. Everyone, no matter what you do, they're going to complain about anything.
So what are your thoughts about this Mass needing to be shorter?
I just got a kick out of everyone that he got beat up pretty good on that. I mean, even Patricia was Heenan from King of Queens, the actress, or from Everyone Loves Raymond. She eviscerated him as well. So, Your Excellency, I don't think it's the sermons, even though there's some sermons that probably do go 5 minutes, and they may go 30 because they're maybe talking about nothing. There were once one priest there. He was at the diocese parish, and he was going on about the Carolina Panthers football quarterbacks, and I'm going, what are you doing up there? I mean, come on. It's so, yeah, if your sermons are terrible and they go for 10 minutes, it's going to seem like, all day. And if you're on Eagle's Wings, to me, it seems like that goes on for, you want to torture me. Forget about Waterboard. Just put me in a room singing with On Eagle's Wings on repeat. It's just the elephant in a room is just not being looked at, which they can't look at, as one priest said, because they would have to admit that most of their priesthood has been not a failure, but it goes back to leadership, what we just said.
Well, wait a minute, Steve. Let me interrupt you right there. What is the elephant in the room, and address that?
Oh, the liturgy itself. You have to have reverent liturgy, and obviously where the people are going to right now, and the stats show. I mean, you go to a traditional Mass, people are coming in, flocking in, and you usually never hear anybody complain about the length. And mostly it's packed pews, young crowd, all that. I mean, you go to Just like I have some good parishes where I'm at, really good dioceses where I'm at, and they do a legit Novus Ordo. A lot of white-haired people in there, and there's still a lot of seats that are the old joke on Sports Center. Plenty of good seats still available if you're just driving by the ballpark. Plenty of seats not filled, and we always, that's great. You can put it's as another priest told me, he's in a Byzantine, right? He goes, yeah, it's still a pig, even though you put lipstick on it and make it pretty. I go, yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah, you get rid of that. You get rid of the spirituality. You get rid of sermons that actually, one priest does daily sermons. He had one of the seminarians came in and he did a sermon on the saints of the day. I think a lot of people actually like that. Besides hearing the same old every day, like give them something to feel like. Why are we here? Why are we just going through the motions? It's and not after communion. Let's clap and jump up and down because we got the debt taken care of and things like that. I've seen that. Literally just the past year, we were going to one that was a legit Novus Ordo parish, and it was great right until the after Eucharist, after communion, and it was the mass ads. I call it. That was time for a commercial break for the ads that are in the bulletin that we're going to tell you about right now. Anyway, even though we just did a sermon on bringing back the Eucharist, which there's some kind of National Eucharistic Congress that you have to have some money to get into. And then we're going to tell you some ads. Stop praying to listen to what we're talking about. Oh, the death is coming up. And then we're going to, now back to praying. It's comical, but yeah, and we're in a good diocese where I'm at. Imagine New York or those other guys are not like that and maybe have a lot of happy clappy stuff going on. Yeah, who's going to come? You dumb it down to that level. Why go?
Well, the other part of it is, Steve, is, I have never been a big proponent of surveys to gather opinions, to change things, because you're never going to please everybody. So why are we trying to bend ourselves into pretzels, trying to give everyone some part of what they want, instead of just going back to the tradition of the mass?
It goes back to the leadership thing. You mentioned, if a good leader will come up and say, I screwed up, I'm going to fix it. We're not going to let it happen again. This was wrong. This is what we need to correct. And we're going to go back from there. We don't have any leadership anywhere. Laity, cleric, all that. It's a crisis of leadership in multiple areas. No one has humility to say they were wrong. You're never going to hear that. From podcasters to clerics, right? I was wrong. There was one priest that did, after the Rona, he got up he did a sermon, I was wrong, and I'll never let that happen again. Well, how many bishops have said that in the last 2 years?
Oh, yeah, exactly, Steve. My pastor of where I go to mass, when he first came, this is maybe 15, 20 years ago, maybe not that, but maybe 15 years ago, when he came and took over the parish. I knew him. He was a family friend. I was glad he was coming. I knew him. And he changed the entire interior of the church back to the traditional statues, back to the traditional crucifix. He just changed it all, went back to, the traditional interior of the church. And people were complaining up one side and down the other. And in a sermon one Sunday, he said, I am not changing it back to the way it was. This is a traditional Catholic church. If you don't like it, and he pointed, he goes, there's the door.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. And that's leaders. Hey, I'm in charge. This Colorful Fluff is not in charge. I remember one priest saying, if I'm going to have a woman tell me what to do in the parish, it's going to be Holy Mother Church, not Mrs. Smith or whatever.
Right. Well, let's talk about one last subject, folks, because I know Steve has a time schedule.
That's his family.
And I don't on Fridays. But anyhow, I'd like to pivot to Father Altman. Now, who hasn't seen his recent video about putting a millstone around Pope Francis's neck and throwing him into the Mediterranean? We've all seen that. So I love Father Altman. I know he's angry. I know he's upset. I don't know that I agree with his latest video at all. I'm one that believes that Pope Francis is a bad pope. I pray for him all the time, but we can't, in my opinion, we cannot say that he should be thrown in the sea and go to hell. So this is apparently Eric Sammons of Crisis Magazine. You know Eric, right? So let me show everybody this latest tweet that Father Altman sent out. And here it is. Dear family, after the first of recent videos, I was criticized for being too angry. Then as to the sequel, I get this from Eric Sammons of Crisis Magazine. If Father Altman thinks the man that almost everyone on earth believes is Pope, I don't know if it's going to let me do this, deserves to be thrown into the sea with a millstone around his neck, he should be doing penance in sackcloth and ashes, not producing emotional manufacturing videos with a smile on his face. That's what Eric Sammons says. And then this tweet goes on and on from Father Altman. And then he says, so as to Eric Sammons and his overinflated ego for someone with a mere MA from Steubenville, I encourage you to read the very thorough effervescence of his uninformed opinions regarding Jorge Bergoglio here. So now we've got a cat fight going on.
And he links to Sedevacantis website.
Yes, thanks. That's a good point there, Steve. So what's your opinion about this?
Pray for Father Altman because he's off the rocker, right? Off the rails, as they say. Yeah, you can be angry, but there's ways to do it. It goes back to what I said about Chrysostom and others that they got kicked out. You didn't hear Chrysostom go on a crusade against anybody. St. Athanasius didn't do that. None of the early bishops that got exiled or kicked out, none of them did that. I know of somebody that got a priest that got quote unquote canceled that exact same day as Father Altman did. And I won't say his name, but I could bring it up. I could tell him exactly who it was. But he asked me not to, and there's no reason, but I can make him, I get very popular with that idea. But yeah, the diocese kicked him out. He didn't make Father Altman got he raised like $1 million that day. The other priest had asked permission to load his ride that day. The other priest is now in another diocese, still being a priest. Father Altman is, doing tours, getting all kinds of speaking gigs, things like that. So kind of saw. I wasn't a big fan of the sermons when they were coming out, going this mostly just harping on things are. Maybe it was just me. I already knew about politics and things like that, even though he was very one-sided and thinking pretty much the GOP was, the good team versus the bad team. And in reality, they both are stink. Yankees versus Red Sox, red versus blue, Pepsi versus Coke mindset. But yeah, it's just, and then he's gone away off the right. He's already declared the Pope in the Pope. So there you go. He's already said he's a Sedevacantis, which is pretty much Protestantism and Catholic clothing. And man, it's sad. It's a sad fall. That's why a lot of guys, when they ask, why don't you guys have the names of the priests on there? He goes, well, because they don't want that. They don't want to get this cult-like following. And it's about the message, not the name. And again, it's about, getting to heaven, not scoring points on my end, making me, everybody knows that name. I want to be, no, I want to be on spirit. If you pray to live in humility, like I said, half the stuff that you see on these videos and tweets and things like that, if you really prayed that and really wanted to live that way, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, I call it the Father Karapi syndrome.
Mm.
How popular he got, and then it just really went off the rails. And Father Blunt, he is another very popular priest that has a lot of speaking engagements, but he's so different. He's very humble, and he gives Catholic food. He gives us spiritual food, and he doesn't go down the path of criticizing and pointing fingers. Instead, he gives us a path to move forward. And that's what everyone is seeking. They're looking for a path to move forward. He even pulled back recently. I don't know if you know this, Steve. You probably do. But he's canceled all of his engagements for October, Father Blunt, I'm talking about. And he is in prayer. Yeah.
No, I have no idea. I mean, St. John Climacus says that the priests have to risk that line of going into that fan, being someone's fan, or they got to risk it to save souls. And some, priests have been able to do that. And one reason that's good on my end, I can control that. They can I post it up and they don't even watch, or maybe they'll ask me, hey, can you make sure that my name is not on? I'll get that, get my name off the comment thing. And so most of the banned words are names of priests.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I got cuss words and names of priests. So if you try to type in a name, it's not going to show up on the comment section. But no, yeah, it's good. I mean, and the whole thing of the idea of the October challenge of Father Mateo was.
Yes, let me pull that up. Thank you for segueing into that. I want to show everyone on your website. There it is. So go ahead, Steve. There it is.
Yeah, if you get the book Jesus King of Love, fantastic little book by Father Mateo, and he talks about, there's a price that has to be paid. So if you want a conversion, okay, kind of like that prayer that Snyder wrote, Bishop Snyder. It's a good, but we need more in a sense. So are we minimalist if you're wanting to make a team? Let's say I use that a lot because I was a sports guy. If you want to make a team or study, you don't know sports, you went to school, you hear about kids doing all-nighters in college or things like that. Do we have the dedication to prayer as we did for pulling all-nighters? Guys, I knew guys would do Adderall or whatever, stay up all night, procrastinate, even though they were procrastinating to do it, but pull all-nighters to study. Or guys that would play ball, it would work out the right way, learn to eat the right way, sleep the right way, make sure their body's in tip-top shape, be cognizant of aches and things like that, make sure the form is right. You don't make a team being a minimalist. You don't go out and say, you know what, I'm just going to shoot about 10 free throws, stretch a little bit. Maybe I'll do 10 minutes of workout. And that should be enough. No. You never hear anybody, if you see any kind of interviews or things, these guys, I mean, I did it. I would sneak into gyms and when the lights were off and find a way to play. Billy Wagner was a pitcher back when I was a kid. He was a left-handed reliever, 5'9", I think it was, but could gun it 100 miles an hour plus. He was right-handed, but he threw from the left side. I'm left-handed, but what happened was he broke his arm as a kid, broke his right arm, so he wanted to play. So his determination was to pick up a ball with his left hand and learn how to throw. So he'd go into his farm, throw the ball, go run again, throw it again, run again, throw it again, run again. That determination. I mean, you hear about guys that would, like Luke Kuechly, Catholic boy, he retired from the Carolina Panthers. He went to Jesuit school, so don't ever listen to an interview of his on religion, please. I have. It's not that good. But he would watch film all day. So by the time game time, as one guy on the opposing team goes, he knew 90% of the plays that were coming down. Do we have that kind of dedication? As you hear about it, the children of the world are more dedicated than children of the light, and we have so the night prayer thing, and you go back to the Desert Fathers, and it's I think St. Isaac the Syrian talks about it. I got a quote of his up somewhere. I don't have the full. It's in the book Silence by Cardinal Sarah, a good long one. And
Oh,
Father
I have
Abernathy,
that book. Yeah, I have that book.
fantastic. It's
Yeah,
in the
it
intro.
sure is. Uh-huh.
And St. Isaac the Syrian, whose sermons have been translated just recently, one of the lines was, the Lord cannot bypass the men who practice the night prayer their whole lives with his great gifts. He goes on to say something about it's more efficacious, you'll get it answered more at night. And St. John Chrysostom talks about even waking up the kids in the middle of the night just to get them to say one prayer and then going back. But now, full disclosure, this is when there was no electricity. So when people would go to sleep was when the sun went down. Because you're not going to stay up and watch the Late Show because you couldn't do it. So they would go to sleep when, say, 7 o'clock, maybe wake up at 12:01. I mean, the Trappists do night prayers at 2 to 3, I think it is 2:30 maybe.
Yeah.
And then they go back to sleep. So there was a little break in it. Most people now probably go to bed 10, 11, 12 maybe. I know what I'm doing. I'm literally pounding stuff out. Sometimes I go to bed at 1 and I'm up at 6 or 7. But
so is the October challenge that you get a group of people together and you do your night prayer? So like, let's say someone takes the 1 to 2 o'clock shifts, another one takes the 2 to 3 o'clock shifts. Now, are you going to the church for adoration, or are you doing this in your home?
Well, this was Father Mateo came up with was he saw so many people going to adoration at the parish that people were asking him for what can they do because they couldn't get into a parish. Imagine that. That was early 1900s. Chicago, for example, Mateo says was the city of the Sacred Heart. Imagine Chicago. You're look at it now. So this was a time when people actually liked the faith. So,
well, in Indianapolis, where I live, there aren't that many churches that have 24/7 adoration.
No, this was
might be 2, and that's it. Thank God my parish is. But
this was, Mateo was getting that going. It wasn't like it was all the time. I mean, he brings up the Catholic Action League in Italy, and Pier Giorgio Frassati. People know of him, and there was a couple blesses. The dentist Joseph, I can't think of his last name, and there was about 5 other saints that were going. And men all night. It was Thursday nights, all night. And the joke was Frassati was like having his eyes pulled up so he could stay awake. But people wanted more after hearing Mateo preach. And so he came up with this idea of a night adoration at home, putting an image of the Sacred Heart, like that image, and doing it just focused. You could kneel towards where you think the Blessed Sacrament would be with the Sacred Heart image. And in the link, there's a booklet that goes with it. You can do, and it gives you the prayer. So if you go through that booklet, it'll take about an hour. And but you can do anything else you want. You say Rosary, you can do just like the Jesus prayer, say some Hail Marys, whatever pious action. But it's being taken the time, sacrifice an hour of sleep for reparation between the hours like 9 and 6. So yeah, if you don't have a group, pick a time that's going to be hard for you, like 11.
Yeah, it makes you uncomfortable to have to get up at 2 in the morning to say a prayer and go back to sleep. Yeah. Right.
But I do know people that have they made like schedules, and they would get their friends sign. All right, what like for what week you're gonna get? Like I'll get this, I'll get that, and somebody else will get the 4 to 6. Or if you have a family that's large enough and you have older kids, maybe like the youngest starts at the 9 to 10, tap out, 11 to 12, tap out, and the family just goes, and dad finishes at 4 to 5. So if you don't get the 6, no big deal. You're still it's the principle of the matter for what you're doing. But yeah, so that's the whole gist of it, is for every day of the week, every day of the month. And it's going to be hard because, most people don't do it. And Father Abernathy goes into it. He goes, that used to be taught by everybody. That was a thing back. It's a traditional thing to do is vigils. And you read about the lives of the saints, they're doing it. All those guys were doing it. But we've gone away with it. Maybe because of electricity, maybe because we don't want it. Again, we have no problem tweeting about it, but the solutions are hard and not fun. When someone says, hey, I need to run faster, I complain that I'm slower. Okay, complaining's easier. How do you get faster? You got to put some doggone effort, practice, and workout to get just a split second faster. That's, guys in the pros, they don't just sit back on a lazy boy and go, I'm going to get up and run a 4.2. No, they work at that. Or right. I need to throw the ball a little bit harder because I need to get the 2 miles an hour on my fastball or a curveball or whatever. You have to work at it.
I always say, Steve, that you're not born with talent. Talent is made.
Yeah. You can have some talent. You get some certain issues, but you got to take advantage of whatever you are. And you got a disadvantage of something, so you got to work on those disadvantages. My disadvantages were speed, so I had to outsmart or outthink or do something that was, get around it. And baseball, I was not a hard pitcher, so I had to throw junk, and I was. Or if I, had a count and I got it in his head, and I remember this, it was an old man's league game, and the guy was like, I'm going to squeeze out of the ball, make him think I'm going to throw a changeup at him, and at the last second change, I'll throw a fastball right by him, blew him away. So you have to take advantage of those situations. So just like this, maybe you're not a great pray guy, so you work at it. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's hard for you to go to sleep. Go to bed earlier, get up. Work on it. It's practice. Practice makes, in a sense, practice makes perfect. There's a line in it, but at least attempt it. But tweeting about it or things like that, even conferences, I call them the water is wet conferences. What do you do? All right, here, give me $1,000 to have a conference, come fly out, stay in a hotel. We'll have mass in a hotel, by the way. But instead of a beautiful church, we'll do it in a hotel. And then, by the while we get done, then nothing's going to change. But if you do stuff like this, which is not sexy, and you don't have to go out and tell everybody on Facebook, hey, I'm doing this right now. Come join me. Give me your intentions before I go to mass. It drives me batty. But it's one of those close the door in ideas, or go back to sports things. When you play ball, coaches might know that you were in the gym or running stairs on your own on a Saturday when everyone else is playing or doing other things. Maybe nobody knows, but maybe somebody did see you. And great, maybe coach did see it, but he knows that you were working your tail off to do something. Same thing with God. You're doing it. Nobody else knows you're doing it. He knows what you're trying to do. You are suing heaven for help. You're trying to get and one of the things Mateo writes about is a conversion. It's in the podcast. I mentioned it in it. Is some young girls doing adoration at home. It's 1 a.m, and her parents came home early. Or it came home late, one of the two. I can't remember the exact situation on that, but he thought she was sick. Oh, the parents usually are never out. They ended up going out for this time, came back, lights are on. They think she's sick. Goes knocking on the door, and she explains what's going on, and she goes, I'm doing this for you, and for the conversion of you and mom. And they haven't gone to mass in years or whatever. And lo and behold, the next week, he's with her at mass after, because that right there softened his heart. And she was, as he says, the price has to be paid for every conversion, everything, just like we want the church fixed. What's that price tag? I guarantee a tweet is not worth that currency. We have to get more, as they say, jokingly call it the calluses on our knees and calluses on our fingers from hitting the keyboards all the time.
Yeah, I so agree, Steve. Any last thoughts about October before we close? Because it's almost an hour.
Just if you need to ask your spiritual director, go for it. Just don't do anything on your own. But this is something you can do at the house. Again, the Father Mateo pushed it. It was got an imprimatur, I think, with the booklet. The prayers are solid. It's getting you right in depth in the canon. And it starts with the canon, and then it goes to the wounds of Christ, and you're kissing the crucifix, and you're praying for conversions of heretics. You're praying for the Pope. There's some lines in there that talks about how I don't know, I can't remember if it's an apparition or something about it's very favorable to the Holy Father. Now, obviously, it was written back in 80 years ago. But I don't think heaven's changed their mind on that. If we trust God that He is, the gates of hell will not exist, the gates of hell will not take over the church. Do we prevail against the church? Do we believe Him or not? He is God. He meets the criteria. We're not Him. Do we trust in Him or not? Most of us do not trust Him. It's time to start practicing the little trust. Maybe we deserve it. Kind of like getting water thrown on our heads. Maybe it is waking us up a little bit, but just like the water being thrown on our heads, we got to do something pious about it and not create division, to create some joy. Okay, it sucks out there. Great. Embrace the suck, as the line goes.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? Keep pounding, get holier, grow in piety, convert your friends, convert your neighbors, work on your local church. Don't worry about the big globe or thing. You're not going to convert Rome by yourself, but if you get a bunch of people around you, you convert your little, neighborhood church. That's going to change. That's going to be a ripple effect all over the place.
That's so true. That is so true, Steve. I so appreciate you being on. I really do. And, finally meeting you. And everyone, we're going to end now. And you know how I end. Eternal life is forever. Got a plan? Your plan is Jesus. God bless you, Steve. Bye-bye.
I appreciate it, Christine. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.